Good morning. Welcome everybody to class session number 12, how to sculpt a robot. Last week we went over hands. I was able to do a homework session, which I have, or will be highlighted and added to the playlist. And I just finished sculpting the hand, and then I did the finishing up of the ankle here, or the shin. So today we are going to attach our hand and sculpt in the rest of the arm and shoulder area, finishing off the arm. So hello everybody. So I think after today, after I show how to do this, I will do kind of a little bit. So next week we'll do a little bit of a showing of how to do this hand on the other side differently, because this one will be holding the rope that he's swinging around, so it'll have an extra armature attached to it. And so I think next week I'll get into how to do that part, and also how we're going to deal with that rope situation, the connecting between the two hands and the kind of ream of it that he's holding in the other hand. And then after that, I think really it's just the last kind of big component to do is the backpack. This kind of larger, what we want to do is make a larger assembly that's detachable. So okay. I of course still need to do the whole other leg for homework, but it doesn't need to be done quite yet. All right, let's get into it. Let's see, first thing we're gonna need is some small gauged wire. Oh. First thing we're gonna need to do is make a huge mess by pulling down our whole wire rack. All right, mission accomplished. Okay, let me cut a piece of this off here. Okay, it doesn't really matter what gauge wire you use for this part. Let me set up the camera here. Mr. Arbit, when step 1, broom and dustpan. Okay, made my mess. Now what? All right, so now get a piece of wire here. Doesn't even need to be this long. Just some small gauge stuff. Okay. We have our finished hand here. And we're going to take this little piece here and we're just going to wrap it around a few times so it's securely attached. All right, Jones. Okay, and we're gonna line it up here and just tightly wrap it around. So it's not gonna go nowhere. Probably way more wire than we need. Let's cut off the excess. I'm not going to worry about the positioning of the hand right now. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the length of the arm is how we want it to be. I think so. We'll have like the forearm about that big. Elbow joint here. Shoulder joint. All right, Jones. Yeah, we can shift around the fingers a little bit now that it's baked. I think the length looks good. At this stage, you would look at it, look at the whole thing and decide if it looks too long. You just need to cut some of this off and then shift the hand down. It's a good opportunity. And if you're really having a hard time telling, you could take some clay and just kind of add some volume, almost like sketching, just to kind of see how things will look when it's all kind of done. Imagine it'll be something like this. Is it possible to cut epoxy clay? Yeah, it's just very hard. Usually you want to use like a Dremel or something. Cutting it with an X-Acto knife is, that's not easy. Hey, what's up, William? Okay, let me just flesh in these other shapes here while we're at it. So I have kind of like a larger forearm assembly, kind of mirroring this, but up here. And then just like here, we have like the kneecap or knee joint. We'll have kind of an elbow mass here, some sort of a joint. Oh yeah, we're gonna use steel stick. I'm just sketching to see if we like the length of the arm. And some sort of like a shoulder mirroring this round thing here. I always love when we flesh in one area, how it kind of changes the look and feel of the robot. I think it looks good at that length. Maybe a little bit shorter, huh? Let's just see. If it were like that instead. Yeah, I think so. Okay. We're gonna have to cut this wire just a smidge shorter. That's why the sketching step always comes in handy. It's a little hard to think. It would still work if we would have left it, but I think that's just a smidge shorter. Looks a little bit better. Okay. So we're going to use the Dremel tool to make our cut. Or you know what? I wonder if our bolt cutter, wire cutters can cut through this. Let's see. Oh yeah, no problem. If you don't have bolt cutter wire cutters, you're gonna have to use the Dremel tool to cut through that thicker wire. All right, let's redo that step now. I'm looking at my arms and they do look long. Any suggested cut epoxy? Yes. Dremel tool. Dremel with this type of cutting wheel. And since you're cutting through epoxy, you're going to want to wear a mask, dust. With what? With the Dremel tool. Disc cutter. Yeah, the disc cutter. This blade right here. I need to get a new one of these. Doesn't want to turn. Guess that one's stuck on there forever. But yeah. Cutting wheel. If you don't have that, I mean, if you have a pair of these, it would work too. A saw blade, yeah. If you have a hacksaw, a metal cutting blade. That's probably the cheapest. Well, if you have a Dremel tool, I recommend you get a cutting wheel because it's probably one of the most useful bits to have. Okay, so let's see here. Where's my super glue? Here. Yeah. Eye and mouth / nose protection. Well, definitely at the bare minimum eye protection, but when you're cutting through epoxy, it will get very dusty. So some sort of a dust mask of some sort. You know, I got this one right here. My super glue is clogged. If it's just a wire, you don't really need the dust mask. You just can do just eye protection. Okay, I'm gonna super glue this in place. It's not 100% necessary, but actually, yeah, we don't really even need to. We can just use the epoxy or yeah, steel stick. We'll skip the super gluing here. If it's moving around a bunch on you and you really want it to be in one particular spot, then you super glue it first, and then we use some steel stick to lock it in. We're just going to cut a little dollop here to connect this hand to this arm here. Probably about that big. You know, when you're making decisions on how to connect things, I'll kind of explain my thought process there. You can use regular epoxy clay or Magic Sculpt, but then you're going to have to wait for it to cure, which takes about an hour. You can go that route. You could use epoxy glue, but again, that doesn't cure very quickly and it's a little bit more messy. This cures very quickly and is easier to control, so that's why I choose to use steel stick in this case. But let's say I was doing more than just a small area. I was doing needing a lot of this kind of a material. I would probably go with Magic Sculpt because really the cost associated with using small amounts of this is good, but if you need to use larger amounts, you want to use regular epoxy clay because it just costs less. Unless cost doesn't matter to you, then by all means just steel stick it up. So I'm just kind of wrapping it around and really pushing it into the wire. Once that hardens, we can bend the wrist and get the hand exactly where we want it. Oops, sorry. Just condition up some clay while that's hardening. Oh, by the way, so we did make this door detachable with the C1 separator, but for right now, just leave it on there. There's no reason to remove it until the time comes. At the end, we'll remove the door from the body, and then we'll kind of carve out that area, and then we'll need to make it temporarily. If we want permanent access, we can just add some magnets and make it so this door can come off. But if we're only temporarily removing it, we'll just end up gluing it back on permanently in the future. Hey, thanks, William. All right, it's getting more firm here. It's pretty seamless. I wonder if we still will do the kind of the cloak idea. I think so. Just a great way to add movement. Okay, let's see. Still hardening up. Let's take a gander at the reference while all that does its job. This is kind of the style I'm going for, more of like these kind of barrel forearm construction. It's a pretty common idea, you can see. That one looks pretty nice. I saw this one earlier. Really like the style of this. This is like that, like a more of like an automaton type of character where it's a robot, but it's functioning using magic instead of it being like a technology robot. Kind of like those dwarven ruins in Skyrim, those kind of robots. Magical aspect. That was our reference for the door. Hey, thanks for joining us, Marcel. I appreciate it. You know, I was just noticing I really like how we're able to see the light coming out of the chimney stack. Maybe we'll do that with our robot, where we have the maybe like a direct passageway where we can have like a glowing effect at least coming out of the base of the chimney. That'd be cool. Oh, that's interesting. So many ideas. Infinite, really. I saw this. This one looked pretty cool too, where the suit of armor is just like a housing for the actual fire, kind of like what's that character's name from that movie, Califer or whatever his name is. It's a Gerard piece. Although this one is, yeah, this Gerard's work. I always see it on Pinterest. That's pretty cool. See, this is how I get stuck on Pinterest. Go down these like rabbit. Oh, hey, look at this guy. So fun, man. This is where it gets really dangerous because it's like, I just wanna like, let's just pause everything and sculpt this guy right now. Dangerous stuff. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, look at that. Very nice. We're just adding dozens of characters to the class, yeah. We're gonna do a sidebar. Oh, that's interesting. It looks probably like AI, but oh yeah, it is AI. Okay. It's a cool concept though, the like mixing the armor, knight armor with something like monstrous on the inside. That's nice. Possibly AI. Yep, AI. This is when we go back, get back on task here. Oh, hey, that's cool. I do want to do a potion class like this. We're gonna do that. I have the perfect bottles for it, but something along this line, along these lines here. Okay. Probably with LED lights though. Yeah, like something like that. That'd be cool. I have a feeling most of this stuff is AI. You can just kind of get a sense or like that. All right. Back on task. Okay, now our steel stick is hardened. We can adjust this wrist if we need to. Maybe like over, down. Yeah, okay. Now we need clay glue. Where is it? Ah, here. And we're just going to tackle the forearm. Start off with clay glue and then add a big blob of clay so we can start shaping it. The better job you do at adding the right amount of clay from the beginning, the easier things become. So I'm going to try and add the right amount. You have to spend a lot of time adding the wrong amount before you start actually adding the right amount. Let's see. bit more. I'm not focused on the edge here or the edge here. I'm focused on, let's get the shape here, this plane, good. And then all we have to do is simply cut off the excess. We do want to make sure it's pushed down and it's really attached. Okay. Now I need a particular tool. There you are. Establish the planes. That's right. Well, first I'm going to get rid of the seam line with our shaping tool. And then we'll do the plane establishment. Could even use... We'll just use our fingers. So when I use my thumb like this, I feel for, it's like you're reading the surface with your fingers. So when you lightly go over, you can feel where it bumps up and where it dips down. And you just try to push the clay where it bumps up to the areas where it dips down. And that's how you establish the plane. And then once you get it pretty close with your fingers, you're able to go in with like a metal tool, fine tune it. So I could see that this has a really nice curve here, and then this whole thing dips in there. So that's gonna be a spot where I would add. Drink. Yeah, now that has much better shape there. Work our way around. Okay, now I'm going to take the flat edge of this and see if I can clean it up even better. Establish the plain drinking game. The more you play, the more your planes get established, or your perception of them at least. Oops. This one? Imagine you're like a blacksmith you're hitting it with the hammer, bing, bing, but each hit is very soft, and you're also pulling the clay in a certain direction, and then you're seeing kind of the after effect of the hit, and then you're adjusting. So like I look right now for those these lines between each tool stroke to kind of mellow those out. This will be the harder area to do this. It'd be easier if it's upside down. Might have to go this way. See, this way is different because I have to put a curve in the tool stroke. It's better if you can go up and down because then you're just doing straight lines, but okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, then we go in really lightly, and we're gonna try to actually just use our fingers here real lightly, go in the other direction to try to remove those kind of peaks in between the tool strokes. Very lightly sliding my fingers over the surface. Almost like you're polishing with your fingers. Okay. Now let's take our tool here and we're gonna draw the kind of the line, the edge. I like to draw it first before we commit and make the cut. I could see this being where we taper the edge so it kind of almost like Mega Man style. let's just draw where that edge will start. You know, I'm thinking actually if we cut this straight, and then let's say we want to put a beveled edge here, it'd be better if we bake this first and then re-add clay here, and then we can very easily create that beveled edge. So we're just gonna cut that right there for now. So we're just gonna go in a little bit heavier handed with the tool. Can use the X-Acto knife for this too. Okay, and then it's gonna go down to here. Hey, thanks, Justin. I appreciate that. I'm keeping an eye on making sure that the lines here are parallel. So that way it's just a nice kind of cylinder here. Yeah, so one way to do this beveled edge would be to bake it and then just re-add some clay right in here and then use the hardened edge to create that beveled edge. I'm not sure if I'm gonna wait though. I might do it now still, because that would be a really easy way to do it. But I think I'm gonna do it a little different here. I'm gonna use because okay, so if I bake this and then I add clay here and then I create this beveled edge, it's going to be pretty close to where the hand is, and I kind of want there to be a little space between the hand and this wrist. So I'm going to use this tool here, and I'm just going to kind of smoosh down and up at an angle here. I'm just going to go like this, kind of roll it. Do our little blacksmith hits. And we're just going to do it that way. So I'm letting the tool drift this way when I do this. So it displaces the material towards the hand. And then I'm just kind of paying attention to this edge that we're creating and make sure it looks straight. Yeah, well, you could drop it. It would be fine. It would survive. Yeah, all good there. Clayton got you some links to the clay that we use. All right. This little edge we made here is bothering me. Let's just leave it for now, though. I don't want to mess it up. Okay, no, that's just... There we go. Wouldn't it be easier to do the wrist part with a small tool? Yeah, maybe. Sometimes a smaller tool doesn't work as good for this job because essentially the edges of the tool, if they catch the surface, they create that kind of that line. You know what I mean? And then you get all these random little lines. So the edge has to be bigger than kind of the surface you're working, so it doesn't leave those. It's like where the edges of the tool aren't really touching the clay. It's more of the surface. Does that make sense? So when you use a smaller tool, it's a little bit harder to do that, where you don't want the edges touch the clay. Okay, now I'm just trying to see if I want to do that same edge here on the bottom side. I think I will. I think we will. So let's just do that. Now this I can see is moving a little bit more because there's less surface area underneath, so we want to be very careful. So once we push it down to get this edge a little more crisp, I'm just going to run the tool across here. Kind of rotating the character, not the tool. If you make the forearms smaller, do I still recommend that tool? Yeah, probably. You can certainly try with a smaller tool. See if it works. The key, like I said, is just to watch out for those edges left behind by the tool. There we go. Okay, and then we can cut the excess here. I'm looking at the spacing between this corner and here, and I'm just trying to maintain that spacing. This edge is a little bit funky. Very good. I have to clean up this edge too. All right. So now we have our basic shape for this part. Now comes the fun part. We're gonna add the lines and the textures, little details, rivets. Let's see here. Okay, let's do a seam line right next to the bevel here. Endless rivets. It's a little bit tricky to do those lines, but if you turn the sculpture and not the tool hand, it's a lot easier to do them nice and straight. So I'm rotating. I'm holding the tool steady, and I'm moving the whole sculpture. Okay. I think we'll just do a big dot here on the forearm. It flared up a little bit on that one side and not on that side. Let's see if we can balance that out. That's better. Those seam lines are tough. Yeah, they are. Just try to get them as close as you can. And yeah, the key there is rotating the sculpture, not the tool hand. Whenever you do perpendicular seam lines like this, it's good to like you saw me stop before it meets this line and then come at it from the other direction. Because if you pull this line all the way through, it's going to mess up this line down here. So same with this, you know, we start with the one side and then we stop before we reach the end of that and we come back from the other direction. Okay, this plate will go to probably about the side of the wrist here. This can just go straight down. So you stop right before I reach all the way down. And we just come at it like this. Because you always had to imagine this clay is very stretchy and it's always pulling, stretching. So the way we do things kind of is to avoid that from messing with things. Okay, so now on the other side here, right about there. Oh, maybe going more like this. All right. Let's get out some circle tools. Let's see. That fits. I always do like a light press just to kind of see where it's lining up before we commit to the full press. Give it a little twist. Yeah, you can see how we did the hand in last week's lesson. Just have to go back and watch. I have all these little glass beads that got stuck in that tool. Guess I shouldn't store these with my little glass beads. So we have a similar theme kind of here. See how we have this beveled edge here, and we have this kind of dotted rivets. I think we'll mirror that here. It's always good to kind of take these styles, these themes we already got going on. Also, we'll also use this kind of stuff as well. You know what? I could even see using this a little bit too. Kind of where the hand would need to bend a little bit more, like a half circle. Let's see. What, fighting the glass beads? I mean, you can be impatient and make more work for yourself, or you can just relax and deal with it. All right, other side, I'm gonna do the same thing. Yeah, that area we will kind of sculpt in that rubber accordion stuff going on in there. But at this point, I think what we would do, or what we will do, is we'll finish off this element and then bake it or heat gun it, and then continue doing the arm. Let's see, should we do that on the bottom too? Yeah, probably. Now we do the rivets. Riveting. That one's a little bit smaller. There we go. Whenever you want a riveted section, you always start with both the ends first, and then you split the difference. Don't start putting rivets here and going down like this to the end, because your spacing might be off. So always do the beginning, the end, the middle. And then if you wanted to add more, we would do halfway between this one and this one. Halfway between that one and that one. You know, you're just splitting things in half, so. Okay, so I think for the additive rivets, to make sure they all have similar size, we're gonna make a roll first. Nice even kind of roll here, and then we cut from that equal size pieces, and that gives us a good kind of similar size starting point. About like that. Should be enough. And you just grab these, roll them up into a ball, and stick them. We'll just do it on the thicker parts, not where it gets thinner there. Maybe 2 on each side. You'll want to put some C2 clay glue over those so they don't fall off. All right. Now let's see here. I'm going to use this tool to create kind of a little, just like a little slot in the plate here. I was thinking maybe like a vent on the inside here. We're just going to use whatever tool, whatever the width of the vent. Just get a flat tool like this, the width that you want. And then we push down. Like that. Do a little perimeter around it. I'll do a seam line up the middle here. Go back in with some rivets. Okay. Last step to do on this is to do kind of dents and scratches and stuff like that. So I imagine the forearms would take quite a beating, so it can get a little bit more intense with the damage. We also need to push down these rivets here. Kind of creates a little hammered look texture on there. Let's grab. This tool is great for making small scratches, but if you don't have this, you can just use really any tool that makes a fine line. You just want to hold it very lightly on the back side of the tool and just kind of graze it over the surface at kind of different angles, like so. It's gonna leave really, really fine, faint scratches. Then I'm going to use this ball stylus to do a bit of a texture on the kind of the beveled part, just by dotting it a little bit more intensely near the screws. Or the rivets, sorry. Let's do be careful when you do this next to your seam lines. Just kind of replace them. They get shifted a little bit. Okay. Good. So at this point, we will bake this, lock it in once it's 100%, and then we'll sculpt in this area. I think we'll just do the rest of the arm, and I'll show you how to do the hand next week. So a goal for next week is I'll show you how we're going to deal with this hand, and we'll do the shoulder and elbow, and then that way we'll be able to finish both of the arms. This week we showed how to attach the hand and how to do this forearm design. Yeah, it looks good. Cool. Okay, let's head over to Discord and I can see what you guys are up to as far as people following along in the classes. Let's see here. All right. Let's take a look here. All right, Levi Deluxe. I was thinking he'd be holding a scroll, but I didn't seem mechanical enough when I tested it. Wish I had thought of a wrench earlier. It sculpted the fingers closed around it somehow. I added it after as a greebly, so at least I practiced adding greeblies with C2 and clay. Oh, I see. That's a good idea with the wrench. Oh yeah, okay. Why did it put my line there? That's weird. This is on the second, okay. Have made some progress. Arm broke. The brass is adjustable only so many times. No worries though. Yeah. Anytime you bend metal, it's gonna you only get so many bends before it breaks. Totally veered off from sketch as other ideas popped into my head as I started sculpting. Here it is so far on boot number 2. You know, that tends to be the case. A lot of your best ideas will come to you while you're working on something. So it's good to let that kind of, you know, don't really hold yourself to the sketch unless you're like, you know, like you have to, you know. There's no reason to not. Oh, look at that. I like that, like spring, kind of like springed up ankle there. Very nice. Like very like armored robot for sure. Nice detail. It looks good. I like the shoulder being this almost like a solid. It doesn't look very movable, but it's like a really armored solid piece. Oh, and then okay, I see what you got going on here. That's good. Very nice. Fallout looking, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Probably a lot of Fallout inspiration. Very cool. Yeah, it's gonna look nice. Great work. ID 10 Tango. You're doing great. Okay, now we can go to Levi Deluxe. Yeah, I like that idea with the wrench. I see what you mean. You know, you could make a cut where the seam lines are. You could cut that and then rebend those fingers if you want to. Yeah, you totally could rebend them. Yeah, though, because the wire under there, you could still bend it, but you kind of want to cut through the clay, so that way. Because right now, if you rebend them, not gonna try too paranoid. Being attached to your work. Don't get attached to your work. If you bend it without cutting the clay, it'll bend and look really nice. But when you bake it, the like pressure inside of that clay will cause it to kind of like crack. Because you know it wants to return to its original state where you first baked it. So there's like built up pressure that when you bake it again, the clay gets fragile and kind of, you know, it releases that tension. So right, so you want to if you cut the clay through all those little segments, you should be able to bend the finger just fine. And then you're defining where those kind of gaps are created. And then you can fill those in. Too confusing for me. The wrench can be loose. Okay. Sure. Looks good though. It still works. You could also put a fatter wrench, like a really big one. Or just leave it. Easy mode hands, since they were different from each other, still making tiny hands for the fix-it bots. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's nice. Asymmetry. What a blessing. You don't have to kill to have the ability. You just have to start. You just have to start doing it. Join us. We do a free class every Sunday is the next kind of session, but you can go back and watch from the very beginning. No need to kill. Just follow the gremlin class, yeah. No death required. I'd love to have the skills. You can't, you can have them. They're yours for the taking. Just reach out and grab them. Okay. Yeah, they look good. Very nice. Successful hands. I almost feel like on these ones, like the tips of the fingers are, I don't know, it's like I almost want to see something there. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe like one of those plates that has like the bottom of a ladder rubber grip. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like almost like a shoe grip or something. A tread, a rubber tread of some sort. Maybe. All right. Very nice. Levi Deluxe, Clayton, and ID 10 Tango. I think that's all we got for classes today. No dragon updates. And no gremlins. Oh wait, did we see that? Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yes. So if anybody wants to join these, you could check out the playlists, follow along, and each week you post here in your respective class. So robots, dragons, or gremlins. I got a question about Gremlin Gnome. Sure. One hand looks pretty big. On yours? They look similar. I mean, maybe this one's slightly bigger, but... Or... You're saying both of the hands look pretty big? can't see it from pics. Okay. I see. Well, you could bulk up the one that's smaller with like a wrap. That's hard to see in the pictures. I'm guessing it's this one that's the bigger one, though. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that could be a good solution. If you do a wrap around this one here. Some sort of a glove, partial glove or something. Yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining. I appreciate you all being here. I'm excited. I'm excited to our robots looking more and more complete each week. So if anyone's interested, this piece is available. So it'll have LED lights and everything. So if anyone's interested in adopting this work once we're done with the class, feel free to reach out and email me and let me know. Other than that, let's get out of here. I'm gonna finish off my weekend strong, and I'll be back tomorrow bright and early. We'll be working on our actually I think tomorrow we have a special airbrushing stream going on. I'm pretty sure there's still a little bit of something hanging in the air, but where can I see your creations available? Is there any link or page? No, there isn't. Most of my work is commissioned, so usually I don't have things available. But every once in a while there'll be something like this that is available. But yeah, it's few and far between. So right now it's the robot. There's a gremlin project I'm working on that doesn't have a home. But I think that's pretty much it for right now. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's find someone to raid here. And I'm going to get out of here. Let's see. Let's go raid Frost, doing some illustration. Armored ogre is what he's drawing. Yeah, you too. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you all later. See you at the beginning of the new week. Well rested and ready to roll. Till next time. Bye-bye.